Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Yorkshire Gamer. And this is going to be the second of the Build the Bismarck videos. And this video is going to concentrate mostly on basing. But before we do that, I just thought I would give you a quick look at where we are with the build of the model. And as you can see from the last video, it's looking a lot more like Bismarck now. We've got our turrets on, our main guns, front and back, and the secondary guns along the side as well. So this is considerably more like Bismarck. I'm just going to move the camera and quickly go along the model. Lots of detail on this. Is a bit of glue spills to clear up before I start painting, and there's lots of small holes available for the smaller detailed parts that are going to start coming together fairly soon over the next couple of weeks. Big glob of glue at the back there that I need to sort out. The guns on these are individually up and down, and obviously the turrets turn as well. So I'm going to try and retain that during the painting process. It's same for these turrets as well, but they're a little bit flimsy, and as you can see there, they just literally just fall off. So they're going to be glued into place. As I said to you before, everything is take off at the moment because I'm going to paint it in different sections, and we'll come to that when we look at the painting videos. And then in there we've got a couple of Arado seaplanes, and I'm going to do two come with it. So I'm going to do one on the ship, and then I'm going to have one on a flying base. So let's get down and have a look at basing. So we're going to look at the basing during this video, and the first thing I've done on here, if you may remember from the previous video, you can just see on there I've scored the back just to help with to stop it from warping, and then I've drawn a centre line down the base just to help me position the ship when I'm coming to do the sea. Now, if you remember the schoolboy area with this one, I haven't got a waterline model, so I haven't got one of these bases that I can put onto the MDF before I start building the sea up, as you can see here with one of the German destroyers. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to use the actual hull, and I'm going to temporarily fix it to the base, and then sculpt the sea around it, and then remove this for painting of the hull and painting of the base separately. So I'm just going to fix this down in place with a bit of blue tack, and then I'll be back with you in a second. So I've fixed the hull base to the base itself, and I'm going to be using this stuff, just ready purpose filler, called Spackle in the US, and I've just grabbed this from the big Tasdas when I was last down there, and with this I'm just going to simply sculpt the sea. And if you've not seen me do this before, there is a tutorial video on a smaller ship. I think it's one of the tumbling dice 3000 range, or I'm not sure, World War II, 2400 range. Cheap craft knife, and I'm just putting this on in big chunks and then putting it down in uneven strokes in different directions. We're trying to build a seascape, we're trying to get something that looks natural, but what I am going to do is I'm going to leave the end unsculpted at this particular moment in time, and I'll show you why shortly. Something I've been doing for a long time, probably based thousands of ships over the years. It's something that I'm particularly keen on, naval wargaming, as you can probably guess. And this is something that I've done, practiced, if you like, for a long time. So it might not come as easy to you as it does to me, but a little bit of practice and jobs are good. And so I'm just sort of getting in the bow wave at the moment, and then putting the plaster as best I can up towards the hull of the ship. Don't know, can you see in there? Yeah, we can. Normally I sit with the camera between my legs, but I can't particularly do that with this particular base because it's so big. And then the direction of the my ship's moving, don't want that. The direction of the waves will of course be random apart from where the ship is pulling through it. So I am pushing the plaster in to where the ship hull is and then pulling it away. It is going to leave some residue on the hull, but I'm going to, when I remove the hull when the base is finished, I am going to wipe that clear, and we're going to use a foam effect to show why waves along the side of the ship itself. So I think you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing, and I'm just going to carry on all the way down there until we get to the back. So I shall see you in a second. So there we have it. There is the completed first part of the base sculpting. Didn't take me long, maybe 20 minutes. But as I said, I've done this quite often, in fact, very often. So I'll just move the camera, I'll just have a look along. You can see I'm just getting like a move away from the hull of the ship, and then just general randomness everywhere else. Kind of think you get the idea of what we've done there. And I've left the ends blank for a very good reason, and I'll show you that now. Apologies for shaky cam on this bit. I've just moved into the living room, and I've got a nice flat oak coffee table here. You can see I've removed the main ship from the middle, so we've now got an outline, and then we've got these two blank bits at the end. And whoever the modeller is in your house, then I recommend buying them these Yankee Candles, huge, what's that, 623 gram ones for Christmas, because you can steal them and use them to weigh down your models, and they will think you're buying them a lovely Christmas present. Actually, you're just going to do that with them, and that's going to stabilize that base and make sure it stays unwarped. This is probably the biggest opportunity for the base to warp, and what I am going to do as well is I'm just going to put something in the center of the base and let this dry overnight, so we'll see thee in the morning. Here we are a couple of days later, and we remain pretty straight. That's had a wait on for 2 or 3 days now. I just haven't had a chance to get around to do any more painting, and we're pretty flat, and I'm happy with that. If you would have left it without any weight on, then it would have looked a bit like a banana. So the next bit to do is to finish the ends off, and exactly the same as I did before, I am just going to finish off these particular bits at the back and the front of the ship that we had previously used for our weights. Now, at the back of the ship, I'm going to work in a little bit of an area that would represent the propeller wake from the ship. So I'm going to get all this filled in very quickly. And it's certainly worth, whatever ship that you're doing, just having a look at some contemporary pictures of them at sea. Most World War II ships will have an aerial view of them in motion, and that should give you a really good idea of what sort of propeller wake you will get, because on some ships, especially on the larger ships, they will have two screws mounted out onto the side here, so that's where your propeller wake is going to start. And I'm going to kind of build that up with a little bit of plaster now, making sure that this area at the back of the ship is quite rough, and then I'm going to build on that with the foam effect and with the paint later on. But it does make life a lot easier, and in my opinion it looks a lot more realistic if you've already done a little bit of work with your plaster prior to getting your paint on and getting your foam effect on. So there we go. That's the back end. Front end, I'm just simply going to plaster over and leave it as random as possible, because the ship hasn't reached that bit yet, so it's not had any effect on it, so it would just be a normal sea. And then once I've done that, I'm going to leave it to dry again. So back tomorrow for the next stage.